Hi, I'm Edwin Raphael, and you're watching the Music Enthusiast.
Could be speaking code. Have you been told?
Hi, I'm Sarah from Music Enthusiast, and today I'm here with Edwin Raphael. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you on
I'm
this
very good.
Friday 24-degree day?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's nice. It was nice and sunny. It started to get cloudy again, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it snowed a
I,
lot last night, which wasn't fun. But
I know. I keep thinking this might be one of the last ones, but it just keeps going.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
saw Suki Waterhouse, and the night we were driving back, it was like a crazy snowstorm, and it was just insane. Yeah.
Where did you see her in Toronto?
No, Montreal.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it was like a few weeks ago, but it was just very crazy.
I just seen her actually in like October, November
Oh, no way.
in Toronto.
Yeah, did you like the show?
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, my friend Abby had opened for her, and I would say Abby was better, but
Honestly, I
might be
was there for
biased.
Blonde Shell, so I was
There you
there
go.
for yeah. Um, you recently released Warm Terracotta. It is an amazing album again. Um, when
You.
did the creative process start for this album?
Uh, like the minute the clock struck COVID-19, I would say. It's like it was kind of very much around like March or April 2020
Wow.
when I first started like figuring out the concepts for it. It's weird because COVID for me when it started was like a really nice like it was terrible generally, but it for personally it was like a nice break to feel kind of like I didn't have to catch up to anything. It was kind of like there was no rush, and it was just like, huh, what do I do with all this free time? And it's suddenly became like, oh, I could be in this state where I can just keep making art, and I just like ran with that idea, and that's when it like all started.
Amazing. And throughout that, did you have any writer's block that did that like creative process sort of die for a bit? Not at all. Wow.
No, it was the weirdest thing. Like during COVID, I had like the best creative energy. I like had so many song ideas. I was like people kept telling me that they were getting writer's blocks and stuff, and I was just like, can't relate. And It's weird. I just had so many ideas. I think I wrote like 30 to 40 song ideas. Like complete like good ideas.
It's crazy.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then Warm Terracotta was like more so like conceptual. So it was like whatever song fit into the mold of Warm Terracotta like made it. Cause I was in that like whole space. So it was a lot of the songs felt like it could fit. And so like out of that, like maybe out of like 25 songs, I narrowed it down like 13 for 14 for the album in the end.
Yeah, I was wondering why. Like, it's honestly, it's a beautiful project, but it's also like a long project as well. So was it sort of
This
nerve?
is actually the short version.
No way.
Um, yeah, I think there's like three or four songs that are like pretty much almost finished that didn't make the album, even though I think they're really good. And I'm like sad it didn't make the album, but I mean, this is not to say like it can still come out as like a Warm Terracotta deluxe or something. I mean, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Uh,
How did you pick the tracks that would be on the album?
I felt like you kind of like subconsciously start committing to songs to like finish songs because you're like I believe in the song so much and it feels Warm Terracotta, and I was like subconsciously finishing songs, and then I was like obviously this is on the album.
Hmm.
And then like I was doing that with like like 17, 18 songs, and then at the end I was like, okay, these couple are like a little less polished. It got to a point where I was like, what are we like finally polishing here?
Yeah.
And then we just like made that cut of like yeah, I guess this will make it. And I guess some of the songs were like more recent that didn't make it because it was like I wanted to make sure the songs was like that first initial feeling of Warm Terracotta to be like the project.
To you,
Yeah.
what does Warm Terracotta feel like?
To me, it feels like that like first beginning of COVID kind of feeling of like it was kind of like, oh, like I'm now making my house like a sanctuary, kind of like a safe space to like figure my whole thing out, figure myself out, think about all like the stuff that brings me down or like makes me feel a certain way, and then like why do I feel that way? How can I articulate this in a better way? How can I be a better person because of this? It was very healing in a way. And yeah, so Warm Terracotta, I think, would be summed up essentially as like a safe space where I can keep, like, as soon as I start listening to these songs, I can like feel this like thing of like I can escape into this and find myself again, and just like repeat. Like in the beginning, it was like I wanted to make these like the tagline was like, let's make these hypnotic uh capsules of like loops, where we can just like melt into these little moments. Yeah, and I think that's what we went for.
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. Do you love pottery?
I don't love pottery actually, but I do love like pots. And I
Oh,
did my girlfriend did a couple pottery classes and stuff in between too, which was cool. And I think for me, terracotta is very much because the word comes from because you're kind of molding it with your own hands.
yeah.
And for me, like the safe space essentially is like you making it with your own hands. Like I also had this song called Use Your Hands, which didn't make it, but it kind of was like as soon as you start using your hands, like you will feel less anxious. And I guess it's kind of like also a dig at like getting away from like social media and like the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And the visuals for this album as well are just so beautiful. It matches the
Thank
song
you.
perfectly. No problem.
Have you seen the visualizers
I
on
have,
YouTube?
I
Okay,
have,
sick.
and I also have seen the Warm Terracotta World, which is
Mm.
crazy. Like, when did that idea come about?
It came about early last year. We were thinking about like an experience for listeners to kind of parallel what the whole feeling was. So it was like, if we can build this thing online where people can kind of go in, have their headphones in, and just like meet other listeners and just kind of hang around and listen to the whole album before it comes out and even after, and we can keep building this like world as like the like I think now Warm Terracotta World will like like live forever with like whatever else I do
Yeah.
in the future too. Yeah, so like we'll just continually world build. And I think it started actually, I went to this VR exhibit in Florida for Dali,
Okay.
and it was super inspiring because I like to get inspired by other mediums than music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love paintings and art. Like I'm big like art fiend, and so like with Dali, like I love surrealism, which is also like a very big thing in Warm Terracotta. And I think when I did this VR world, it was basically like I had these glasses on, and it was just like this Dolly world where I could just keep moving around and explore a bunch of his works. And it was like I was like, why don't I do this with my music?
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the first seed of that idea. And then last year, the more you talk about it, I guess, with people about ideas, the more I feel like it can become reality. I think that's like a manifestation thing where you like if you like talk about it and if you bring it up to other people, like you never know what can happen. And so I think I was talking about it quite a lot. I was like, imagine this crazy thing if we did it. And then it just kind of like fell fell correctly, and like all the pieces came together. Like we found like someone who could build it, Moses and Ish, and then they sort of took it from there. I like gave them a lot of like a visual mood board of like how I want the world to look like and what each space would be like. And then there was like a lot of drafts and a lot of back and forth. And then we made it, and it was craziest thing at the end. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe we made it.
Yeah, you literally manifested it.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy. Your first ever instrument you ever learned was a classical guitar, but
Yeah.
your parents made you do like piano lessons and you actually hated it. So did you actually like sports or was it all a lie?
I actually like sports. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing with that, I don't even know where you heard that information. So my parents put me to guitar lessons when I was 6, and then I was like, I think like a year or 2 years later, I mean, I'm also like 7, 8 at this point. Like, what do I know?
Yeah.
I was just like, this is boring. I need something else. And they were like, okay, do get piano lessons. And I was like, okay. And then I did piano lessons for 2 years. And then I was like, what if I quit and do something like sports? And my parents were like, all right, sure. And then I was doing sports, and I was playing like soccer and like a bunch of other shit. And then I was like completely like this whole like music thing was not even a thing. And then I think when you're like 14, 15, 16, you know, that time when you start like enjoying music and figuring out like, oh, I actually like this genre. I have a strange affiliation towards alternative uh indie music or whatever. And then it was like I started figuring out like the sound I really liked, and the music that I really liked. And then I was like, oh, like how do I cover this song, or how do I play this song? And then I was like, picked up my guitar again, and I just started figuring it out. And I was like, huh, okay, this is way more cooler than any of the classes or like studying music. But yeah, I mean that's just me as like a 16-year-old just trying to figure it out.
As an artist looking to make it in the music industry, you don't need to sign to a major label. Trust us, we've created a better way. Enter Hard Drive, the world's first community-based record label and software with all the tools and support you need to succeed in your career. From global music distribution and a crazy beat library to custom artwork, video graphics, mixing and mastering, and community events led by industry experts on everything from music business to mental health. Get everything you need in one place. Be one of the creators that joins our growing community. Build your legacy while building the new music industry. Join Hard Drive now.
Yeah, and back to Warm Terracotta, it's a very it's a super collaborative project. You work with so many of your friends.
Yeah.
So how did that sort of work out during COVID?
So I guess the team for Warm Terracotta is my producer Fox, who we kind of have been working on things since like kind of like the start almost. We were seeing each other quite often during Warm Terracotta, at like during COVID and stuff. And so it was me and him, and then Colin, who plays bass, and he was coming in on the sessions too, because he was just like so hyped about it. And then I kind of just reached out to a couple musicians that I really liked, and just wanted to be like, yo, if you want to get in on this, we're making this whole project. And I like kind of gave them a lowdown. And the crazy thing is, a lot of like what I send them out is like a rough demo and like 3 mood boards. And they're like, what do you want me to do with this mood board? I'm like, channel it. So we ended up having a bunch of like weird Zoom sessions just so we'd kind of talk about it and kind of what the vibes are, because that was like super important. And then we got this really crazy musician Dhruv Wishwanath from India, who like is just like this guitar god. And he heard the project and he was like completely mesmerized, and he's like, I got some really cool ideas, and he sent over a couple things. And then we got Joao in LA. He also a crazy producer. And it's all like, it's funny because the song itself like was finished, but then we'd send these over to these guys, and like there was also like Jaguar Son from Toronto, who's like a really good musician. He was involved too, and they would all send me like little things, little things. And I think the cool thing about Warm Terracotta is if you like dissect it, there's like 3 4 songs in the same song, because there's so many layers, there's so many little layers. And so we like, it was it the hardest part of the whole project was, how can we arrange this in the most tasteful manner? How can we arrange it to be like dynamic enough that we don't lose any of the initial feeling, and how can we highlight these sections? And it was just so beautiful because these guys just gave me like the most beautiful little pieces of texture, and we like, it was just so fun to like place it in like cool ways. And I was like, wow, this sounds crazy now. And yeah, it was just really beautiful. We had like Abby Sage also from LA for like Have You Been Told. We got Sam Valdez for Homesick, and Eleni Drake from London. I think she just moved to Australia. And yeah, just reached out and was like, if you like this song, would be super down for you to get on this. And then they were like, yeah, for sure. And then they sent me ideas, and it was like, yeah, this sounds great. And then they sent me a couple ideas, and then I arranged everything, and then we sent it back to them way later, and they were like, whoa, this is not what we thought it would be good. Like, and then yeah, it just sounded really nice in the end.
Yeah, totally. As you mentioned, like there's so many layers in just one song. So, how do you know a song is done, but also how do you know when a whole album is done?
That's such a good question. I think because the thing was, last year around April or May, I think I was like, the album's done. People, and then like my team or like just my friends and stuff, they're like, yeah, I don't think it's done. It's just like, it's not done. And then it was just like conflicting. And then it was funny because I had this anxiety of like, I think it's done. I think it's done. And then sometimes like hearing it like 2 weeks later being like, it's not done. It's not done. And then it was like, I think the last like 8 9 months was like, it's done, it's not done, it's done, it's not done. So it is very difficult to know when it's actually done. And I think when we in like September or whatever, I think we finally finished it. And I think it was just like one of those moments, like you like go through each song and then it's like it's done. Like this I don't know, I think you can just feel it. It's just like we hone back into like how it felt originally, because you also get like demoitis with the first demo, and you're like, it sounds nothing like the first version. So it's like, have we completely lost it? Like we lost it somewhere along the way. And so the last 8 months was a lot of like, let's go back to the first version and this insane version now and see where we can meet somewhere in the middle, kind of thing. And then it felt way more finished. Yeah. And then it was also all of us being like, let's just get it out. Let's just get it out. It's been so long.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a trick question, but I like the way you put it. You're also going on tour with Teo. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Very soon. So how excited are you for that?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's cool when you can like do these shows that you're like a fan of, or like I actually like really enjoyed Teo's, like his first record. I think I remember playing it quite often like a couple years ago and stuff. And it like, it's cool when that kind of thing happens and you're like, huh, like 3 years ago I wouldn't have thought of like this random occurrence. So yeah, it's always special when things like that line up. Even like last year, one of my favorite bands called Palace, I got to open for them in this like sold out show in Toronto, and it was just like, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I guess it's just very cool when it lines up like that, and it's like someone that inspired you to write music that you get to open for. It's like, whoa,
It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
And it was cool because like that show, for example, I was like, yeah, if they love Palace, like they're gonna love me. Like
Yeah,
this music is literally inspired by these guys and shit.
exactly.
So no, yeah, it's super cool. Yes, so super hyped for these shows. It's a smaller set, so it'll be like a bit deconstructed. Because I think the full band is like a really cool vibe for like Warm Terracotta stuff because there's so many layers.
Yeah.
But with some open like support shows, we obviously have to like deconstruct it, which is a bit sad, but also has its own special vibe of like hearing a song in like the songwriter version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I totally agree with that. Last question for you is, who are your favorite artists right now?
I feel like a lot of I haven't been like super like hearing someone be like, wow, this is like blowing my mind as I would have like in 2016 or 2017, 20, like I felt like there was a lot like a rush of like, whoa, this is inspiring me. This is inspiring me. And I felt like in the last 2 years, I haven't felt like super, super inspired by someone's work, but not that could also be a mix of like me not finding good music. I don't know. To answer that question, I think I've been really into this band called Salt, SAULT.
Okay, cool.
I've been listening to that Joseph record that I really like. I like this album Puma Blue put out last year, In Praise of Shadows. Um, yeah, yeah, things like that. I think those were really good. That like that felt like I was like, yeah, I want to do something like that. You know, that's what music for me is like when I hear something like, oh, how do I do that? Like if
Mhm.
that's my first thought of like, how do I do that? And shout out to Afternoon Bike Ride. I also just heard their new album. They're big homies and they've been working hard on that. And David's actually on Warm Terracotta too. Yeah, their new record is really good too.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it was great chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.